Unlike most RPGs, in BG3, poison is trash. There's hardly any poison spells in the game, and over 190 unique enemies are completely immune. For comparison, fire's got 37. You're better off unarmed than using toxic magic. So can you beat Baldur's Gate 3 using only poison damage? Our hero today is Ivy, a green dragonborn sorcerer. Believe it or not, a level 1 sorcerer already has more than half of all poison spells available in the game. While poisonless Lae'zel watches, let's quickly go over them. Chromatic Orb Poison, Poison Spray, Ray of Sickness, and our Lizard Bracial Poison Breath. Thankfully, the Nautiloid is the tutorialist of tutorial zones, where even having no damage at all would not be an issue. As we arrive on the beach to begin Act 1, I'll explain the should-be obvious rule. All damage my characters deal must be poison. So no damage riders, no throwing things which would deal bludgeoning, just poison from this party. With even Gale's eventual necrotic corpse being a risk I cannot take. From what I can tell, the poison spray cantrip is our #1 tool, and its damage is actually okay. The range and hit chance, however, are kinda crap. With this first victory under our belts, we adorn some green threads. And because we're a magic focused group, the magical Disney swamp is our first destination. After greeting Shrek here, things are gonna get weird, as Shadowheart lifts up Astarion by canceling throw within 1 frame of starting it. She's next poisoned by her own allies. The fresh corpse stuffed into a box to be flung into the Act 1 asylum. Saving and reloading the game from here causes Astarion to pop out of the box. While there's a lot of fun characters in here, like these 5 Raphaels, 4 Emperors, and a werewolf, the dude we're after is Cazador. Spoiler, this dude's a vampire. And using a strength elixir, we can kidnap him out of the asylum to the beach, where the full concentrated power of the sun burns him alive. The sun is not in my party, and if this loophole bothers you, dislike the video now, because the Ketheric strat is gonna give you an aneurysm. Cazador can't actually die in Act 1 as he is flagged as immortal, but when he drops to low health points, he will strategically unequip his own staff, and by using Sanctuary we can keep attempting to pick his pockets, flee through the door on a fail, until eventually his staff is my staff. Having an Act 3 weapon at level 3 is already pretty cool, but why not make it 4? Using the Invoke Duplicity Item Dupe trick, I took 4 rings and 4 staves off of fake Shadowheart to get this poison run started right. Had this run been any damage type or green only, this staff would be insane, as Woe grants you a 64 damage Blight spell. But because Blight is not poison, Woe is basically just 5% spell hit chance and healing for 1d4 whenever I attack. Still pretty decent, certainly not game breaking. Freeing Withers here would have been nice, but nearly all undead in the game are immune to my attacks. Without a viable way to kill these, we're instead forced to sneak into the goblin camp, unlocking Withers in a less satisfying way, but still becoming a full sorcerer team. To give myself a little challenge, I tried out these powers on some of the most poison-resistant enemies of Act 1. The spiders were pretty tough, but really not as bad as I'd expected. The spider matriarch, however, is fully immune to poison. Extra sad because she has one of the only unique poison-specific equipment items in the game. Rip that dream. On the plus side, I discovered poisoning a broom or barrel will heal me, and painting the battlefield in a color other than red is oddly satisfying. Some rooftop combat got me to level 4, and I was excited to pick up the Elemental Adept Poison feat, until realizing that doesn't exist. Yeah, okay, I get it. Maybe poison isn't an element. But what scientist out there decided acid is? Well, that would have been nice. Act 1's combat probably isn't the hard part of this challenge. Ignore the fact that it looks like an owlbear's kicking our asses, because I can assure you it is on purpose. I just wanted to collect the corpses of these absolutists. You know, normal player behavior. From a distance, I cast Ray of Sickness on the goblin's booze tub. Despite being clearly caught in the act by an ogre, I guess he forgot to tell the others, because they drank up and died before participating in a poison pool party. The rest of the goblins will be facing a very different fate, as I alerted Minthara of the location of the innocents waiting to be slaughtered. In a shocking twist, Zevlor is betrayed. But in reverse Uno, screw you, this is my story move. I'm still siding with him without his consent. Astarion on the side snuck into combat, kidnapping Zevlor, holding him hostage, ensuring combat with these now green goblin allies will not end until he is released from the Pocket Realms. Keeping Zevlor safe, I spent 47 minutes spraying poison into the eyes of my ever-patient allies, successfully double betraying them. I'd always knew it was practically impossible to lose here. I mean, it's like 25 soldiers versus 3.5 refugees. But only when Minthara stood alone against my pathetic 11% hit chance did I learn it's literally impossible. She dropped to 0 HP, showcasing immortality. It's not often Larian pulls that bullshit. I dropped Zevlor off in the kid's hideout, and after combat ended, I was able to kill her with Zevlor still alive. Only time will tell if any of that nonsense will affect the story down the line. Returning to the swamp and poisoning these red caps got us to level 5, doubling the damage of our poison spray cantrip to a respectable 2d12. As annoying as it is, these 5 levels have granted no new poisonous spells to play with. Long way to go still before that happens. Using magic against the hag is ill-advised on honor difficulty, though with twin spell Ray of Sickness, things went much better than expected. Still couldn't save Marina, didn't even want to. She died, and the hag too faced a toxic end. Our reward? Nothing but a dead zombie husband. Now that we've gathered his corpse, we can enter the Underdark to find more people to betray. Interestingly enough, mushrooms are immune to poison, but mushroom men aren't even resistant. A situation we take full advantage of, as this may be the last time this happens for weeks. The Dwargar by the beach are the beginning of my pain. All dwarves are resistant to poison damage, reducing their damage taken from us by 50%. That does make things take longer, but resistance is kinda like paying taxes. It's annoying, you can avoid it for a bit, but in the end you're gonna get fucked and the government will take all your YouTube money. No dwarves are left alive, as the rest of this location ain't gonna be any easier. Was somewhat confused learning animated armor is not poison immune, more confused seeing magmamephits are resistant, and not at all confused that mithril ore is not a mineable resource via our green magic. Trying to poison the mimics in their chest form proved impossible, but once they opened their silly little mouths, they happily choked on toxic goo. Grimforge was just full of surprises. Them helping to reach level 6 is a pretty big deal, as the Dragonborn Sorcerer's Ancestry bonus adds 4 damage to all poison spells. Just in time to take the elevator out of this zone and begin Act 2. The actual start of the challenge. Ivy's got no hope of saving these Harpers, as the Shadow's asses are completely impenetrable by poison. Along with a large amount of the rest of Act 2's asses, there's no choice for them but to die. Sneaking past the Shadows into Last Light Inn, it's time to meet the solution to my problems, the Strange Ox. I was recently taught by some smart individuals that for some reason, once you attack the Strange Ox, all of the Harpers and Flaming Fists in Last Light Inn turn from yellow useless NPCs to good guy green allies. And they will stay that way unless you betray them. Green NPCs will help out when combat starts nearby, meaning on paper all you need to do is lure any poison immune creatures all the way to Last Light Inn and they'll carry you to victory. While it is a nice bonus, 3 Harpers died during the first attempt, meaning this plan probably isn't that viable. Plan to use that tactic on the Drider Caravan, however those weaklings kinda just died during the kiting process before even reaching town. A freed pixie means Moonrise is available, and within comes likely the best poison item in the game. Realistically, there's only like 3 poison items in the game, so not much competition. But this ring, once per long rest, will make a target vulnerable to poison, as long as they aren't immune. Absolutely insane versus bosses, or ogres, or anything with a pulse. As the Dark Urge, these Moonrise Gnolls can be turned green by a dialogue choice, and while their help isn't necessary versus the weak little cultists, I figured they should be able to handle these poison immune ghouls. They could not. But by a stroke of luck, one cultist threw a caustic bulb, and about 16 turns later, Lae'zel was shoved into that, where a ghoul mindlessly dipped his little toes into acid, dying instantly, without even trying. My enemies solved my own problem for me. An issue which can't be solved, however, is the floaty Moonrise eyeballs. I'd sooner jump into a chasm than waste another second on these assholes, so I did just that. After clearing out all other enemies, the plan was to flee the Iron Hand gnomes from prison. They turned green in the process, helping me against the Scrying Eyes. And all Wilburn has to do is attack. Being a worthless piece of trash, he refused to do anything at all. I dropped a staff to boost his damage. He equipped it, followed by doing nothing. Even poisoned open a strength elixir at his feet. Yet bro continued to do nothing. All you had to do was swing at the eyeball, dude. His sudden pacifism would cost him and his friends their lives. Until now, every plan to turn NPCs green to save my ass has been extremely underwhelming. All it's taught me is the only good ally is a dead one. So, fuck the Harpers, I'll be the toxic teammate today and lure the plant boss to them because I didn't know how to make them green the last time I tried this. Realistically, how many Harpers could one boss kill anyways? If you guessed literally all of them, plus the Flaming Fists and a random house cat, then you're a smarter person than I. This was an outcome past Proxy never expected. The main issue they ran into is that the Harpers mostly use piercing damage, and this plant boss is fully immune to that specifically. Rip Jaheira too. Well, with her death, there's no more friends with lives to ruin. Our party can enter the mausoleum to not do the Gauntlet of Shar. For to begin any of those trials, a party member would have to slit their own wrist, which makes them bleed outside the cutscene and is self-inflicted non-poison damage. Instead, we're grabbing a spear, which I was kind of surprised was possible to do, as these undead aren't poison immune. Then sneaking up to poison immune Yerger, we grab his little elevator powering gem, knock goes the door, and into the Shadowfell we are. It's been 12 years, but on this day, the Night Song will not be speared. in a Proxy video, as poison immune unkillable Balthazar is chosen as our ally. Forgot this pisses off Shadowheart, so she's joining the betrayed allies list, replaced by Sir Fuzzlelump himself. Back at the tower top, we sneak up to Kethric's rooftop to report the Night Song's capture as per the quest, only for him to gaslight me. He explained Balthazar already told me to go kidnap Isabel. Had to double check the dialogue logs because no bro, that did not happen. Clearly Zarel being dead while siding with Ketheric was not playtested properly. With no plans to help an abusive old man kidnap his own daughter, I approached the altar, praying to the absolute, becoming kidnapped myself, experiencing the pain of betrayal I'd forced upon so many before. We wake up to find Balthazar has us in zombie prison hell. He's still not killable, so using the sorcerer's subtle meta magic power, we misty step to invisible freedom, waltzing into the tadpole room to screw over yet another ally. Gauntlet Yeva this time, no attempt at aid is given in her struggle against the mind flayers. As is tradition, an RP walk towards Ketheric's elevator plays out, which can mean only one thing. Another insanely stupid jank Ketheric strat is about to go down. Part of the reason I sided with Balthazar this time was to avoid battling Ketheric on his rooftop. He is a 100% poison damage immune mandatory boss, which means the challenge effectively ends with him. Aelin can't solo him on honor mode, and with no other living allies in the colony, you're screwed. It's impossible to beat BG3 using only poison. However, I have brought a Proxy cheese-filled box with me, the solution to our problem: dead NPCs. Let's get these corpses out on the floor and explain Connormancy. Back in the Hag's Lair, I grabbed Connor's corpse and the Bitter Divorce Wand. This wand can target Connor to revive him. However, if you target another dead NPC as the revived destination, it will revive both Connor and that NPC. Normally kinda useless as these revived NPCs break and don't do anything, but as this spider here was green to me when it died back at the Goblin Gates, once revived, it retains its allied status, killing poison immune Connor for me. The past toxic behavior of betraying all my allies was all so that I could bring them back in the greatest act of necromancy known to mankind. Full transparency, I didn't test this idea in advance, and it was a lot more annoying than I expected. For some reason, the game needs to be saved and reloaded every single time you revive Connor for them to kill him. I mean, obviously this wasn't an intended mechanic in the first place, so I can't be one to complain, I guess. That little annoyance meant it took several hours of saving and reloading just to get all of these guys alive. The next problem is once alive, they only have 3 HP. Throwing a health potion does bludgeoning damage. That's not allowed. But despite potions supposedly being immune to poison, I discovered they break on hit from any spell, including poison spray. Overall, the necromancy prep phase took far too long for me to ever recommend anyone do this. But after about 4 hours, Ketheric, let me introduce you to my tight crew. And to start the encounter, we're gonna use some poison on Ketheric. The man may be poison immune, but Karazhan's poison from the undead nurse lady can be dropped at his feet and poisoned open to perma-stun his human form. The Illithids in the room are the only targets I can hurt, so once they're dead, it's all up to my makeshift horde of 50-ish allied idiots. I did help a bit by kidnapping Necromites out of Ketheric's honor mode bullshit respawn aura, but all damage is 100% up to these clowns. Phase 1 went to plan. Things tend to go well when your enemy never has a turn. In fact, the only one killing our team was Aelin, with her drive-by moonbeam and radiant splash attacks. Fist Jalar pushed him into Merkle phase, where poison damage continues to do nothing, and now my stuns too will no longer work. With no more healing potions available, all I can do is sit back and watch as the Harpers shockingly miss all of their attacks, and Aelin repeatedly wrecks her own allies. Each of Merkle's swings would cleave 6 or 7 dudes at a time, making my brow sweat ever so slightly. Many more long strings of low or no damage by my useless friends occurred, and as fresh necromites began popping up, the butterflies in my stomach grew. Somehow with each video, the Merkle strat is taking exponentially longer and getting more annoying. In a surprise to all, the MVP award for the best performance goes to Woburn. While in life he was a useless little shit, as a zombie he frequently manhandled 2 necromites per turn. Impactful because whenever necromites popped up, everyone else decides to stop hitting Merkle and focus only them down. Despite my allies' best efforts? Yeah, that's probably their best. Merkle still got a heal off, then cleave 6 more dudes. Most allies remained pumping less DPS than even Scott's worst Warcraft logs, and as he neared single-digit health, I found myself fist pumping for NPCs. With 5 HP, who would get the final blow? The Night Song. Surely the Night Song. No, of course not, she's useless. Instead, it's Harper Shenty who claims glory. Without any non-poison damage from a controlled character, Honor Merkle is slain. Harper Shenty's reward is being the only NPC allowed to leave the colony. The proxy games are over, and we can finally leave this cursed land for good and get back to using poison like the challenge was meant to be. After being unable to participate in battle for so long, giving it back to the Gith in camp felt cathartic. Poisoning them to death was the joy I needed at this moment. After ignoring the Emperor's lies, Act 3 begins, with that previous stun poison being much more effective against Ketheric than I ever dreamed of. On the Gur, I tested out the other poison elixirs the world has to offer, and while I did appreciate seeing the rainbow of poison colors, they're all pretty trash. Near their camp, I found a child's drawing I'd not seen before. I believe that dude on the right is Gortash. Both Beach Boy factions were slaughtered, as I no longer need to collect the dead. And it was here we finally reached level 9, unlocking a new poison spell. Probably the best poison spell, Cloud Kill. Gotta say, it is great to finally have an area of effect attack. The easiest way to start Act 3, as always, is a trip to Sorcerer's Sundries. Can't kill Heroican, but his legendary staff is a free best in slot. Cazador's Mansion is next for the insane XP, with even the 28 health point guys rewarding 400 each. I had to pickpocket the ring off of the poison immune skeleton, but seeing the XP rain in as creatures poured into a cloud kill was well worth the trip. For funsies, I snuck up on Cazador to return his staff, as I felt this bro deserved a fighting chance against us. Though our poison vulnerability ring let us rip him apart in record speeds. Chatterteeth and the zombies did nearly game over us, had no choice but to flee. Astarion was gonna sneak back in solo to ascend, or not. Never saw this play out when Astarion's up there alone without Tav, and he decided to free all the vampires on his own. I mean, that was pretty wholesome of him. There are a few more poison spells available in the game, and it's only in this video that I'll get a chance to talk about them. 2 of them are purchased off the Mystic Carrion and attached to a druid-specific item, Timisk Spores and Bibberbang Spores, both usable only once per long rest. Surely Timisk Spores being a guaranteed stun due to all my spell DC items must make it one overpowered effect in combat, right? Nah, of course not. Because in Larian's world, 8 plus 5 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1 equals 10, which is less than 13. So it fails to land. Regardless of this item being bugged, it's worth using just for its haste spores alone at least. There is one final poison spell we're going to get at level 11, so until then we get back to the main story. Thankfully, poisoning the hanging corpse still generates the blood necessary to open the sewer door, and in Manslaughter Chasm, I rushed in blindly to poison the sewer scum. Then quickly realized this red ghost is not killable. That's fine, I'll use Knock to get through the door. Knock doesn't work either. I could just reload and sneak through invisibly, but it's here that I noticed that there's a countdown timer on the lock. What happens if you wait the full 99 turns that it's blocked by Ballast Mischief? Let's find out. And after waiting 594 seconds, the door pops open. Just like that, we're off to Orin's Temple, where for the first time in a year I get to actually play the game in a somewhat normal fashion. Orin is not her usual gigantic pain in the ass self. Cloudkill chokes her channelers, and I can misty step around the room, having a gay old time. The only slight hiccup was her skeletons being unkillable, which doesn't explain why my characters died. That was just due to me playing poorly. She fell, and I made my embarrassing escape from the skeletons. Next, getting to see the Dark Urge cutscene still play on our dead hero. Because I'm me, and I enjoy breaking things, I revived her with Withers back in camp, and totally broke the cutscene. Now I have no idea what ending we'll get. The butler is so broken, he won't even acknowledge our existence. Nabber threatened us, so we had no choice but to defend ourselves from him, granting 1 experience and level 11, where I can finally switch to Wizard and unlock the last pure poison spell in the game. Conjure Elemental Water Myrmidon. When these little water bros are poisoned, their AoE heal will deal poison damage instead of doing the heal. And who better to use this power against than Gortash? The Steel Watchers are another non-killable target, so for this handsome young man I've prepared a special little something. After Astarion starts the encounter by reading Gortash's diary here, he can travel to the 2nd floor, where no NPC can figure out how to path up here or hit you unless they walk through the arcane gate. Steel Watchers are too large to enter the portal, eliminating their problem entirely, and giving time for our elemental to munch on a rotten bit of food, get poisoned, and drop a massive AoE poison nuke in the room. For like 8 damage or something. I don't know, it was honestly pretty underwhelming. Once Gortash alone took the arcane gate, I cancelled concentration, giving me a 4v1 scenario. He ended up trapped against the wall by furniture, adding to his embarrassment. As long as you don't stand exactly where I stood with this little gnome dude, nobody downstairs can hit you, and you can just blast poison at his face all day long. And by reading Gortash's diary to start the encounter, it means that the keep doesn't turn red like normal when you talk to him, so you can just flee the battle after, revive your allies, and come back to loot the final netherstone. The jump scare of combat immediately after the cutscene was a good startle. How these 3 Steel Watchers suddenly snuck up on me is a mystery I'll never solve. The usual Morphic Pool boat trip plays out, brain cats are poisoned, the Emperor are joined, and invisibly we skip the courtyard, as all of these encounters have things I can't kill. The actual Netherbrain encounter itself was slightly more annoying than usual, due to the 7,000 counter spells that these dudes have, also because a sheep can't wield the Netherstones. But after much time and many game overs, we made it inside. The 5% hit chance vulnerability was never going to happen, though even without it, we just kinda started blasting. On Honor mode, you can't repeat the same damage type 2 turns in a row, so our first turn was completely wasted due to stuns. But Astarian's haste spores enabled us to pump it green regardless. The brain was felled, and if you count all of the jank at Ketheric, I beat Baldur's Gate 3 using only poison damage. Without intending it, every one of us got the bad endings we deserved for our toxic behavior. Lae'zel's killed by her own queen. Astarion turned bald. Our hero Ivy's driven mad by Ball, then pissed herself, and another successful challenge wraps up. If you enjoyed this challenge run, consider leaving a like on the video, and then go check out the Companion Cube challenge run here. As always, huge thanks to my channel members for your support, and until next year, Proxy out.